Welcome, Fright Night Vault listeners. Tonight's story reminds us that not everything we pack away stays forgotten. Some things wait patiently until you open the door again. Subscribe to the vault and never walk alone again. Tonight's story, It Followed Me from the Storage Unit, starts now. It was supposed to be a quick trip, just one last run to the storage unit before the movers came in the morning. Marcus had packed the last few boxes himself. Old clothes, baby toys, a few things his wife said could wait. The corridor of the facility was colder than he remembered, the kind of cold that doesn't belong indoors. His footsteps echoed in the narrow hall, bouncing between metal doors and concrete walls. He fumbled with the key, forcing the latch open. The sound of metal scraping metal broke the silence. Inside, the air felt stale, thick with dust and something else, like rain that had seeped into old fabric. He stacked boxes near the entrance, muttering to himself about how much junk they still had to move. But between each clatter of cardboard, he thought he heard it. A small sound, like a breath drawn in the dark. He turned toward the back of the unit. Empty, just shadows draped over boxes and plastic bins. "Hello?" he called out, half laughing at himself. The echo came back wrong, shorter than it should have been, as if the hallway had swallowed part of his voice. Marcus stepped outside the unit and looked down the long corridor. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The last one flickered. For a second he thought he saw something, a shape leaning out from behind a corner at the far end. Just enough of it to show the curve of a shoulder and the suggestion of a face. He blinked. It was gone. A chill crawled up his spine. He forced the lock shut, double-turning the key until his hand shook. He left the building fast, refusing to look back. Marcus told himself it was nothing, just nerves, shadows, stress from the move. But as he drove away, his headlights caught the reflection of something in the rearview mirror. For an instant, it looked like a hand pressed against the glass from the inside of the storage unit door. He didn't see it stay there long after he left. The new house still smelled of paint and plaster. Boxes lined the hallway, labeled in black marker, kitchen, garage, Marcus's tools. It was the kind of quiet that only comes before a family moves in, when the walls haven't learned the sounds of their owners yet. Marcus worked late that first night, sorting through boxes in the garage. The concrete floor was smooth, the single bulb overhead humming like a faint whisper. He didn't notice the temperature drop until his breath started to fog. The bulb flickered once, twice, then steadied. Something shuffled behind the stack of boxes, soft, deliberate. He turned quickly, expecting a mouse. Nothing, just shadows and the slow creak of settling wood. He laughed under his breath and went back to work. But the laughter felt wrong here. Too loud, too alone. He carried a box into the kitchen, setting it near the sink. The window over the counter looked out into the dark yard. As he passed, he caught movement in the reflection. Someone, or something, standing behind him in the doorway. He spun around, empty air. The box slipped from his hands, crashing onto the tile. From somewhere deep in the house came a single knock, heavy, deliberate, not like plumbing or pipes. He froze, waited. Another knock, closer this time. Marcus forced a smile, whispering, "It's just the house settling." But when he reached for the hallway light, his hand brushed something cold. The switch was wet, slick, as though touched by damp skin. That night, he lay awake beside his wife, listening to the wind move through the vents. At least, he told himself it was the wind. Until he heard breathing, not from beside him, from the open closet across the room. He sat up, heart pounding. The breathing stopped. The closet door moved, just an inch, then stayed still, as if whatever was inside wanted him to know it was waiting. Marcus turned on the lamp. Nothing there but his hanging shirts and a single open box at the bottom. Inside the box, on top of his old clothes, sat a small tuft of black hair, twisted, matted, and still wet. He slammed the box shut, shoving it against the wall. But outside the door, down the hallway, something heavy began to drag slowly across the floorboards, as though the storage unit itself had followed him home. Marcus avoided the garage for 3 days, but when the power started tripping every night around 2 in the morning, he knew he had to check it. He took a flashlight, the only one that still worked, and went downstairs barefoot, the boards cold beneath him. Every step echoed like a warning. The house felt wrong, too still. Even the air seemed to pause when he stopped to listen. He reached the garage door and eased it open. The bulb overhead was swinging slightly, though there was no breeze. The boxes had been moved, not just shifted, arranged, stacked in a crooked spiral leading toward the middle of the room. He whispered his wife's name. No answer. As he stepped forward, the flashlight flickered, cutting in and out. Each flash caught glimpses. A shoe print on the floor, wet and bare, a smear of dirt climbing the wall like something had crawled up it. And then, in the far corner, something standing perfectly still. It was tall. Too tall to fit cleanly beneath the ceiling. Its skin looked stretched thin, pulled taut over bone that seemed to move underneath. The same wet black hair clung to its face, hiding most of it, except for the eyes, 2 hollow pits glowing faintly white. Marcus froze. The air pressed in, heavy, electric. When the creature moved, it didn't walk. It leaned forward, unfolding, dragging one arm against the floor as if remembering how to use it. He stumbled back, hitting the boxes behind him. They toppled, the crash echoing like thunder in the narrow space. The light died completely. Then came the breathing, slow, wet, right beside his ear. Marcus bolted for the door, slamming it behind him, fumbling at the lock, but the knob was slick, just like the switch had been. He pulled harder, the sound of nails scraping metal just on the other side. And then, silence. He stepped back, trembling, staring at the thin line of light beneath the door. A shadow passed across it, broad, deliberate, then another, smaller one, moving in the opposite direction. 2 sets of feet, something else was in there with it. Marcus ran upstairs, heart pounding, every sound in the house suddenly alive, the vents moaning, the pipes shuddering, the faint rhythm of steps following just behind him. He locked himself in the bedroom, breathing hard. But through the door, through the walls, he could hear it moving room to room, dragging something heavy, searching. When it reached the hall outside his door, it stopped, and for the first time, it spoke. A whisper like air through teeth. "You left me locked in." Morning came, but Marcus didn't remember falling asleep. The bedroom door was still locked, the sunlight creeping through the blinds in narrow stripes across the floor. He listened for movement. Nothing. The house was silent again, as if the night had been erased. Downstairs, the boxes were back where they'd been before. No spiral, no footprints, just a faint damp trail that led to the door and stopped cold. His wife was gone. Her phone, her car keys, still on the counter. The sheets on her side of the bed looked slept in, but only barely. He called her name until his throat burned. No answer. He drove back to the storage facility, desperate to prove the nightmare was just stress, a hallucination, exhaustion, anything. The manager said the key he was holding didn't match any unit in their system. He'd never rented one under his name. Marcus stared at the rusted metal doors, rows of them stretching into shadow. One at the far end was slightly open, the same one he swore he'd locked. He approached it slowly, the hinge creaking as he pushed. Inside, the air was wet, heavy with mildew and something sweet beneath it, like decay hiding under perfume. Only one box sat in the middle of the floor, his handwriting across the side, garage, tools. When he lifted the lid, his stomach dropped. Inside were his wife's car keys, her phone, and the same small tuft of black hair, still wet. Behind him, something shifted in the dark. The whisper came again, soft, almost kind. "You brought me home." Marcus turned, light flooding his vision as a shape stepped out from between the rows, tall, skin stretched, eyes glowing through the veil of hair. The door slammed shut. If you think what you've locked away can't find you, think again. Some doors stay open long after you leave. Slip on your headphones, turn out the lights, and never check on what followed you home. Subscribe to the vault and never walk alone again.